Hi, greetings everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Limitless podcast. As you can see, joining us, as always, is our co-host, Dr. Matthew Preston. Hail up the people, I'm Matthew.
Hey guys, what's good?
And I'm Dr. Theon Sims. So, we have two amazing guests on board from One Great Studio Company Limited, right? Well, I'd like them to actually introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Javane, CEO at One Great Studio. Yeah, happy to be here. I've seen a couple of your episodes, really excited. Love what you guys are doing. I love what's happening in the financial space in general, just with the different types of content out there. A lot of education. So, really appreciate what you guys are doing because at the end of the day, this really just build up the community essentially.
Hi,
Love that.
Shania May Brown from Master Chan Gordon. I'm an attorney at law, and I generally give advice in this regulatory sector, which is the securities market in Jamaica. And One Great Studio has been our client for a while. Love working with them, and also you guys are doing great things for educating the financial sector and the people that operate in it.
Okay, well, thank you guys for both accepting the invitation to jump on the Limitless podcast and just to record an episode with us. So, for our lovely listeners, right, I know you guys haven't heard from us in a couple of weeks, but we're back, right, and we brought on two amazing guests. So, we'd love for either one of them, or actually, Javane, I guess you can start since you are the CEO, just to tell them what is One Great Studio.
So One Great Studio is a digital first agency. And so we help our clients get results online. That's what we do for a business, right? So we serve clients in that way. We're a service-based business. And so at the end of the day, we help our clients by helping them get results online.
Okay. So how exactly do you help them to get results online? Like what are the services you guys offer for a lot of these clients and
Yeah.
even who are your clients?
Yeah. All right. No problem. So we do website design and development. We do application design and development. We do SEO. We do digital strategy. We have a whole department called digital, which just have a whole bunch of different services in there, like email marketing, paid ad management, social media strategy, different things like that. And then we also do branding and brand strategy as well.
What
Okay.
is
I can also
SEO?
add here, well, before you go
What
to
is
SEO,
SEO? Yeah, that's a
I
good
would,
question. Were you saying something, Chanel?
yeah, I was about to say that Javane actually created the website for Master Chan Gordon.
Okay,
Yeah,
Wow.
nice.
and this is actually like V3 of the website that we did for
Yes,
Miles Fisher and Gordon. So they've been our clients, I think, for
Put it up.
maybe 10 years now,
yeah.
a good while now. And we've done this is the third website that we did for them. We launched this one earlier this year, actually. Yeah. So some of our clients include Miles Fisher and Gordon. They've been one of our long-standing clients. Barita is our client. Canopy is our client. Um, we do work with National Supply. We do work with Best Fresh Chicken, Hypro, Jamaica Brothers Group. We even do some work for their US companies. We just launched Best Fresh Chicken USA recently. We've done stuff for
Mm.
CFSI, that's their international company as well. We do work with the Guardsman Group. I mean, we have lots of clients,
Oh, these
big
are
clients
big
in general.
clients.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
big
these are
clients.
huge clients.
And then also SEO now is our dominant business line. We had an acquisition last year. We bought an SEO company in September 2022. That company's name is High Voltage SEO. Sorry, no, the legal entity is now High Voltage Digital, and they have clients including Amazon Germany right now. Right, so that's a client of High Voltage. They have Aviva as a client. Aviva is a publicly listed insurance company in Canada, and they also have a company like I'm not sure if you ever heard of Guru.com.
Guru?
Guru.com.
Yeah, Guru.com is a big freelancing site. It's like a freelance job board. That's also our current site, our current client
Yeah.
of HV as well. So they have some pretty good clients as well. So in all, between One Great Studio and High Voltage, we really have great clients, and it's a big part of the work that we do is just helping our clients get results. And at the end of the day, people always say, the reward for good work is more work, and that's been our history. It's been how we grow. We do good work and people give us more work essentially.
Oh,
Okay.
what is SEO like for the viewers?
All right, so SEO is search engine optimization, and really what that is a process of making modifications to your, let's say in this case, your website that would cause it to rank better on Google. So at the end of the day, when you type a search phrase in on Google, you get results, right? And most times people don't look beyond the first page, right? And so the reality is that everybody is trying to get up on the rankings so that you can be found. And so essentially, search engine optimization helps people to get placed higher and rank higher in Google. And why that's important is because it drives traffic to websites, right? And so at the end of the day, you want to have views, you want to have people coming to your site. So for an e-commerce business, for example, if you have 100 people coming to your site and your conversion rate is 1%, then you need, for every 100 people that come, you're going to have one person that buys. So in order to double your sales, you can do one or two things. You can double your traffic, or you can increase your conversion rate. And so SEO, what it does is causes increased traffic to websites, essentially.
Okay. I just actually typed in the Limitless podcast on Google. I was gonna say we needed your services, but we ranked top, so
Yeah,
I guess
no.
it's okay.
So the truth is like that's what you call, Theon. That's what you call a branded search, right?
Okay.
When somebody searches for your brand. So
Oh.
typically, if there's not high competition when somebody search for your brand, then you will place high on that. For
Right.
some brands, you might have high competition, but like for our brands locally, you're not going to have high competition for a branded phrase. But where the goal is in the non-branded phase. So when you search finance podcast, for example, like that's where the goal is. Or for like Chanel at
Lawyers in
Miles Fitcher and
Jamaica.
Gordon, is when people are looking for like, when they're looking for a corporate lawyer in Jamaica,
Yeah.
and that person is coming from the US and they're working with, let's not call your clients names, Chanel, but let's say they're working with, a Fortune 500 company, which Chanel have some of those as clients, right? And they use Jamaica. They do all sorts of stuff with using Jamaica, right? But she won't talk about that. But you have somebody in a Fortune 500 company looking for a lawyer in Jamaica to help hide some IP, for example, right? Right? Because
Okay.
you register it in Jamaica first. Jamaica system, you can't really search it, and so you can lock it away, and then you can register it in the US later. Isn't that something that happens, Chanel?
It does, and it's not that you can't search, it's just that our files aren't digital as yet. So where you can jump on the USPTO's website, which is the office in the US, and just type in something and it brings up all the applications. Jamaica does not yet have that online database. You have to physically send them down to Jaipur's office, go through a book, and go through all the documentation, which is not in alphabetical order. So people do what we call stealth filings here in Jamaica, where they register the mark here and then go to international jurisdictions to get a priority application. That will slowly change with what we have called the Madrid Protocol coming into force shortly. I won't bore you with that because it's very technical, but it basically allows someone to stay in their country and make an application, but also make an application in several other jurisdictions from that one filing. We'll see how that will impact Jamaica and the trademark applications, but as it is now, people still come here for self filings.
It sounds highly inefficient.
Well, there's always profits to be made from
Yeah,
inefficiency, right?
Opportunity.
no
That's
comment.
That's
opportunity.
right. So,
Opportunity.
so like that's where the goal is for that. Is when somebody's searching for a law firm that can help them with that, and they search that general phrase, for example, and then if Myers is ranking on top of that, and they can pick up the traffic from there. And so that's really the business case for like search engine optimization.
Okay, okay. Soon touch back on search engine optimization. Chanel, I wanted to know more about your work with One Great Studio. Right. So, how long have you worked with them, and how like what is the process like in terms of carrying One Great Studio from point A to listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange?
So interestingly enough, I've worked with One Grade for as long as I've been an attorney, which is 5 years. So
Wow.
I've been with One Grade since there were just three shareholders, three directors on the board. Just starting up as a private company to the where they are now. And basically, it's not we're going to market, we want to go to market in 6 months. Let's prepare the company to list. No, this has been we have a plan to make the company public. Let us ensure we start doing certain things and get it into like a practice for the company before we even go to market. So when we get there, we already know how to operate like a public listed company. That's involved, of course, always telling the directors and the shareholders of how simple things are to be done. Giving notice for your AGM, convening the AGM properly, having your quarterly or monthly board meetings, keeping minutes, even though it's just three of you in a room. Issuing the proper share certificates, putting on the stamp on the things like that. Then creating the board committees, which is also very important because what tends to happen is that people want to go to market and then they say, "Oh, I need to create these companies to comply with the junior market rules." No, they were having their board meetings. They had the operations as to how remuneration committee should be done, corporate governance committee should be done, getting a chairman who was capable of chairing their board meetings. All of those things have been practiced by One Grid for a couple of years now. Separate from that, we had to ensure that simple things like keeping the registers were updated. Again, companies incorporate and they tend to just, they know the shares belong to Javane and Theon, but they don't really have it done in their share register. But again, these are obligations under the Companies Act. So once you learn to start to comply with the Companies Act, then it's very easy to start complying with the JSC rules because you're just living a life of compliance.
I
Okay.
think, Shania, you forget to mention, you looked on us and you're like, what are these contracts? Your contracts are garbage. I'm writing over all the
I
contracts.
was about to go there. So just like so that is just from the board perspective and corporate governance. But when it comes to the day-to-day operations of the company, it's also important to just operate like a listed company. Have your contracts in writing, not like let me send an email and say, let me do a job and you confirm by email. No. Changing this one page, I don't know what you need to call it, statement of work kind of thing to an actual contract where you have liability clauses, indemnification provisions, and things like that. Because again, when you're working with big companies, you want to ensure that if something goes wrong or for something to go right, you know exactly what step to go from point A to point B. And interestingly, doing those contracts was just not, it wasn't a standard form kind of contract because I also had to start understanding the business of One Grid Studio, understanding what the type of services they offer to their clients and how you got from point A to completion to ensure that the contract had all those provisions. So it wasn't like here, take a boilerplate contract and give it to your clients. No, we had to, I remember one time trying to ask Javane to explain to me what is hosting. And I was just like, oh, what is third party hosting versus self hosting and what goes where in depositories? And I was like, all right, got a bigger picture of how the company operates to ensure that their contract included provisions that protected them as well as the client that they're offering the service to.
Mhm. Wow.
I,
Sounds
I
like a lot
remember,
of work.
yeah, for me, that was like a painful process because the reality is like, I wanted to have the shortest contract possible. I want to have something that people can read, they can understand themselves. So I had like a, very casual contract that's written like copy on our website. And then, yeah, when Shania was done, we had a good, proper contract with all the legalese necessary to make sure that we're protected. And one of the things I learned from Shania is that contracts are in place for when things go wrong, right? Not for when things are right, right?
Yeah.
And the
Mm.
reality is that you never need them you never need the protection until something go wrong, and then you actually need the protection to be there, and then you're like, darn, I didn't listen. And so one thing I've learned over the years is to listen to my lawyers, right? Because their job is to look out for my interests,
I
right?
always tell people that it's easier to have a lawyer at the beginning to put something in place than bring them on after the fact to fix the problem. Fixing the
Yeah.
problem is way harder than just preventing the problem in the first place.
First
Mhm.
place.
Proactive versus reactive.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Right.
Okay.
I love that
Um.
you guys really pay attention to the rules and stuff because that's even something I've been doing this year. I've been reading like the Companies Act, the Securities Act and stuff because I think it gives me a better understanding of like the business and the kind of things that the companies have to do and stuff like that. So yeah, big up for that.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Jovain, I wanted to know. So, I guess this is a little background. I only know you. I knew you before as Shaggy. A lot of people may know you as Shaggy as well, from Morelands. I used to be a counselor for Morelands for like 3 years before med school got really serious and I got no summers. But I listened. Yeah,
I can hear
I
the
listened to.
pain. I can hear the pain.
Yeah, yeah, because I really did love Morelands. But yeah, and I remember hearing you speak and so on. I had no idea this is what you're doing, of course. And you also brought on Light. I think his name is Light. Robert. I hope I'm not butchering his last name. It's either Evelyn or
The
Evelyn.
funny story about that, that's not Light, that's Light's brother, right? So
That's Light's brother.
Light and I were
Oh
like
wow.
this. right?
Yeah.
And his brother was in website development. So like actually is in the States now. Yeah, no, but
Wow.
Morlands is a big part of my life. I don't know if you know this, Leon, but my wife and I lived at Morlands for eight
Oh yeah, I
years. Right?
remember.
So my
And
wife
you
was the
had a
manager at
couple
Morlands.
kids.
So I actually, yeah, we had three kids while we were at Morlands. So we had three kids
Yes.
in 5 years while at Morlands. The running joke is that Mandeville is for the newlyweds or nearly dead, right? And
Yeah,
so
that's very true.
so yeah, so we spent the first 8 years of our marriage out there in Mandeville. Well, outside of Mandeville, and yeah, it was a really cool time of life to really just build our family and lay the foundation for our future. Essentially,
Mm, okay. Is I can't remember if if your son's camp name was Flooders. Was
yeah,
it
yeah.
Flooders?
My son, yeah, I
Yes,
have my
I do
first son.
remember
His
that.
name is Noah, and his camp name
Yes.
was Flooders because Noah,
Yeah.
the ark, the flood came, Flooders. And no, he's like
Yes.
6 foot, so every pants him wear is a Flooders as well.
It's funny because that's similar to how I got my camp name because my first name backwards is Noah with a T, so my name is Ark. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, man.
Okay.
Oh,
So y'all have that connection right there.
Yeah,
That's
man.
very cool. For those of you who don't know, Moran's Camp is a Christian campsite. It's out in Spur Tree. And one of the traditions that we maintain, it's been around for 85 years, I believe now, right? Morelands Camp. And one of the
Hmm.
traditions that we maintain is while at Morelands, you don't use if you're a counselor, you don't use your real name, right? You use
Hmm.
what they call a camp name. So what you've been hearing us talk about is our camp names. And typically camp names have a story behind it. And when you meet somebody, you have to typically tell the story behind it. So Theon would be
Yeah.
very adept at sharing the reason why he's called Theon. And it's like a way, it's like an icebreaker every time you meet somebody new. Essentially, it's what's your camp name,
Yeah.
why is your camp name. But yeah, it's a big part of my life. It's actually how I met my wife. No, that's not true. That's how we got close, just counseling together. A lot of people get close to them wife counseling at
poor
Moreland.
Rachel
I
says
think
that's
that's
a
a
lie.
yeah. No, we met before and then we started counseling together. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay, so and that's where you started your web design and so that's where you did a lot of your work up at Morelands because I know you are the one that started. I mean, the company I believe started with you and Gino, but you were doing web development and so on for a very
Before
long
me.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's funny because I've been building websites for over 20 years. I started building websites in 98. I got my first paid site in the year 2000, right? So
nice.
I've been building websites for money for 23 years now. And so when I graduated from school, I basically kept freelancing. And then by the time I got to Morelands, I don't know if you remember Theon, like back in the day, you'd register online for Morelands. That was like, so that's an app that
Yes.
we built that application.
Mm.
Like, so like,
Oh wow.
that's like, that's like 2007, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So a long time ago. And this was a little campsite in the hills of Mandeville, having
Yeah.
fully blown e-commerce registration, customized. You can go in, add a camper, check out, pay on your credit card. Everything there had a back end where you just click and download the list for camp. A lot of automation sites. So like a big part of the work that we do on the app side is business process, like basically helping businesses to be more efficient. So like with
Mm,
that, for example, Morelands had a Kingston office beforehand. They used to use that Kingston office and do all the registrations from it. At the end of that, they didn't need a Kingston office anymore. They could just run from
mm.
one person in Mandeville versus needing three people in Kingston to run this operation. So efficiency has always been something that's big for us, and we like to help businesses generate profits through really helping them to become more efficient.
Okay. How involved are you now in terms of building out websites and so on?
Not very involved in the day to day anymore. The truth is, like for the
Makes
last year,
sense.
I spent all my time doing paperwork. Chanel is my BFF. Because if you think about it, our timeline has been we worked on this HV acquisition from March to September
Yeah,
last year. And then we came straight out of that into like
right. So
right into like all right, preparing for the IPO essentially, right? And just closing off. So the truth is like the last 12 months I haven't been very involved in the production and the actual work, the day-to-day work at OneJS, but I'm still involved heavily in the strategy. But we have a great leadership team here that has been executing and building out the projects. And from time to time, when something crosses my desk and I do get my eyes on it, I do have the ability to give input, and the team welcome that. So they always have access to me. So if they have a problem and they want to get feedback, like, I'm always here as well. I try to make time for that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, nice. I've also heard really good things from your team members, by the way, about you and how you're almost like a life coach to them. I even going through the prospectus, I have a couple of my friends. I see Mickey, I see Catherine Samuda. I'm just like,
Yo.
wow, yeah, they've had some really good things to say about you. So yeah,
And that's amazing. When I hear things like that, Theon, it really warms my heart, because at the end of the day, like, when people work with you, they really get to see who you are, right? And
yeah,
and one of the impressive things, like, one of the things that always kind of, it just gives me a good feeling, is because, like, when people who leave 1GS, for example, for whatever reason, and they
hmm,
still consider us to be like their go-to place, like their base, and I think that's
yeah,
like something that's just really cool to see the impact that we have had in the lives of people who come here. And I always tell people, 1GS don't have to be a place where you stay, but while you're here, you got to grow, right? And I
yeah,
think that's something that's big for me. And at the end of the day, I think both myself and Gino, we're really passionate about impacting the lives of people who are around us, right? We are people who have faith. We're people who believe in Jesus. And at the end of the day, like, we feel like a big part of our call is to live out our faith in the way that we run our business. And that means, like, at the end of the day, how we treat the people on our team. Like, they're the people who are closest to us. And if they don't say Jesus when they look on us, in terms of how we run our business, how we treat them, how we interact with them, then I'm not really representing him. At the end of the day, like, is what happens in these situations that really matter, not how I look when I'm on stage. Because you don't see me, like, I preach sometimes, right? Not how I look if I'm preaching or doing whatever, but really, how am I when the rubber meet the road? Like,
yeah,
when something go wrong, am I throwing my team under the bus, or how am I in these different things? Like, I think those are the things that really make us. So we're not perfect. We make mistakes, but I think we try to operate in a way that value people, because we really care about people. At the end of the day, like, we want to see people do well. We talk
hmm,
about don't be greedy, think long term, and do good, being our core values, right? And we try to treat our employees like that, our team like that, right? At the end of the day, they're the ones that do all the work in the business. And so having a group of people who are committed to the business and also who feel like the business value them is super important to us. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in, and it's something that we take as a serious responsibility as well. So hearing you say that is like is such a cool thing, because that's part of what we really aim for. We always say we want 1GS to be a place where people want to work, and so far we've been achieving that, and so that's really cool for us.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Something that you speak about, that your services essentially help businesses to grow their market reach and stuff like that, be more attractive to their customers. But can you guys, for example, quantify like how much more reach you can give a business? How much more can you improve its services? Is it like a 50% or 100%? Like, can you quantify it?
Well, it always depends on where they are, where the baseline is, right? So one of the things that we like to do is that when we start to work with a client, is that we try to get access to the data that they have so that we can get a baseline, right? And then when we start working with them, we can start seeing what the trend is and where they're heading, right? So typically, all that factors into, there is certain inherent demand for every business that's out there. Some things have high demand, and if you don't do anything, you might still sell. Some things have low demand, and you have to do a lot of work to sell. So it really is dependent. But one of the things that I love about digital is that it's measurable. And if a business is serious about measuring things, they can measure things all the way through to their conversion. So I was just looking at a client report last week. This is a HV client. It's an e-commerce store. They spend $5,500 a month on on SEO, and their sales generated from organic search is 500,000 US dollars a month, right? From organic search alone. That's like 100x return on their
hmm,
search investment, right? And so working with businesses like that who are serious about measuring from start to end is really big. I think we're behind in the Caribbean on that. I think Jamaican businesses still aren't really where they need to be with that,
Some of
but
them don't
that's
even have
something that
websites.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have your website, they're not tagged up. You don't know what a
Or they're not
conversion is.
updated.
You know,
Or
they're
Yeah.
they're
not they're
not
not loading
updated.
anything. So all those things are ways that we feel that we can grow in the industry locally, and that acquisition I think is really helpful because it's giving our team more exposure to businesses that are serious about measuring their results online, for example. And then that's now, we've always been pushing that. So having customers who are already there, I think is helpful so that we can actually help to bring our local customers to that point as well. Because I think people locally want to do it, they just don't know where to start. And I think that's something that we have to help people with over time is learning how to set up your dashboards and then making sure that it's working for you over time. And that's something that we're doing right now. We do a lot of dashboards where you can get a real-time dashboard to see the results that you have.
Okay, nice. Nice, nice, nice.
Okay.
I know that app
Sorry, the
development is really
stream
big for
is
you
moving.
guys.
Hold on. I don't know about you guys, but the stream is moving terribly for me. I don't know if it's just me.
As in your quality? Remember that your quality
I
should
think,
still be fine, okay, we record locally.
yeah, I know. So, okay. All right, no problem. You can go ahead,
Mm.
Preston.
What was I saying? Yeah, I know one of the big segments for you guys. You said website and app development, and you spoke about some of the websites, like you said, Myers Fletcher Gordon. I think you said Barita too. You guys did Barita's website.
Yeah, we have.
Are there any? What are some of the apps that you guys have possibly developed that some of our viewers might know?
Well, we built Barita Boss, for example. That's an application that we've developed.
Oh,
Um,
wow. That's the same
The
application
same one.
people can use
Yeah.
to
Same
apply
one they
for the
can use to
IPO.
apply. Yeah.
Wow.
We did that a couple of years ago. The truth is like the app team is just wrapped up in our web and app team. And a lot of the work that we're doing is like long-term maintenance work for projects that we've had for a long time, right? Some of the projects that we work on are kind of because we I can't say a lot about them because some of the projects that we work on run businesses, right? And the
Hmm.
whole the whole tech suite of the company, for example, is built on like an application that we built. Back in the day, we did the Guardian Keep It Alive 5K run. I'm not sure if you guys remember that run.
Yeah, I remember that one.
No.
It was a 5K run, so we had a registration site that we did for them as well. That was an app.
Mm.
We built a couple back office apps for people as well. But the app side of the team, and we have some apps that we've built for overseas companies. Like a part of the business that we don't talk a lot about is we have a couple of US agencies that outsource their development to us, right? And so they would have a design team and they outsource their development to us, right? And so we're their development team essentially. And so some of the projects that we've built on that app team as well fall under that, and those are not typically things that we can disclose. But it's a part of the business that exists as well. But our app team stay busy with the current project loads, and we're really in maintenance mode on a lot of those projects right now versus rolling out like brand new projects on the app side.
Okay. I see you guys have a lot of clients in international markets, regional and international markets. I can imagine, Shanil, that the legislation would be different in those different markets. Is it that you have to be, I guess, au fait with all of those different, I don't know,
No,
legal
no, 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 no.
frameworks or so on? Yeah. Okay.
No, it doesn't require me to know the legislation in all the different jurisdictions because generally the governing law in one great city's contract is Jamaica. Um, Reason for that is the is being provided by a Jamaican company from Jamaica. Some clients, I'm pretty sure, would push back a little bit on the governing law, and when it gets to that point, we'd be advising Javane that technically, if you're going to change the governing law, we'd either have a attorney in that jurisdiction just look over the contract and say there's nothing in their legislation that would go against the provisions that we have. From a contract law perspective, contract is just contract, what you agree. The things that would be affected are like the data protection provisions and maybe intellectual property provisions. More or less, though, the world is getting on the same level when it comes to that. We're not all at the same level as yet, but we're getting there. And other than that, it will just be for Julian again to assess the risk as to whether or not he wants to change governing law from Jamaica to another jurisdiction where he's not operating, where he's not offering the service from, where he may be forced
Hmm.
to go to court and deal with a system that he has no clue how to manage. But no, when it comes to advising Jermaine, I only advise on Jamaican law because I'm only called to the bar in Jamaica. And while I might do a quick Google search and think I'm a lawyer in the United States, I will always tell him he would need to confirm with counsel in the US to ensure everything is okay.
And,
Yeah,
and
Okay.
that's the funny thing about that, because we've done stuff in multiple jurisdictions in the US as well. We have to work with different attorneys in each
each state.
jurisdiction, because in
Yeah,
the US, it's not like you can be a US lawyer. You have to be called to the Florida bar or to the
right.
Wyoming bar. And so we have to have
Mm,
Oh
different
wow.
points of contacts in each state that we want to do any business in that requires a contract in that state, essentially. But the truth is, guys, I want to say this, and a big part of the reason why I wanted to have Chanel on is just because you know she has just been so awesome for us, like serving us, like when this relationship started, I never really want to have a lawyer, and lawyers were like the most annoying thing to me, because all they do is just slow down business, right? And like
And
throughout the
he just
years,
told me that a couple times that I'm slowing down him getting contracts signed. And I
and
just
I'm just like,
like,
I'm done with you, I'm going back to my old contract because this taking too
yeah.
long.
he literally told me that.
but but throughout, like over the time, like I think I've just seen such great value from the relationship, and just how much she cares about us. I mean, I'm telling you, homegirl had a full baby and was messaging me the day after, being like, I'm coming to the meeting on Monday, and I was like, if you come, we're gonna block you, because she's really invested in the business and its success. And I think seeing how she served us just kind of, it just made me realize how important even our service is to some of our clients. Like, that's how we partner with our clients. We serve them in a deep way, and we really want their best. And I think that just seeing how she served us really just resonated with me. And I think I'm hope that's the way some of our clients feel about us as well, is that we're that invested in them, that we always want to do what's best for them. And I think when you have a service provider that does that, it just kind of, it's a big difference. Then that's why I would go to a Miles Fetcher, because of how Chanel has served me. And I think it's the same thing with like a One GS. If we can
Yeah.
give our clients that level of service, it makes sense for people to stay with us, because we are serving them in such a deep way and we care so much about them. We want to create these win-win opportunities. And I think, just I can't say it enough. Like, our timelines, for example, like Shani was always there just pushing us, like going to IPO. It takes a lot of work, guys.
Yep.
And it's a lot of moving parts, right? And it's a whole heap of different people. And at the end of the day,
Mhm.
you need a drill sergeant, right? And Shani was our drill sergeant, right? And trust me, that prospectus would not be published,
Yeah.
no, if she wasn't a drill sergeant. And I'm talking about drill sergeant from January, right?
Hmm.
Till now, drill
I mean,
sergeant is
you guys are the first IPO that has, like, the prospectus has dropped this year, and has, so it must be a huge feat, because it's, and I love the fact that it's, as I said, first IPO, but the ticker is, I'm assuming it's going to be one GS, because I see one GS everywhere. I think that's brilliant, because no, I think, even I saw a tweet about it. I think Randy posted it, where it's going to, because it's numerically one as the first thing, it's going to be at the top of the junior market. So I think that's brilliant. Kudos to you guys for that.
I think
Yeah,
That's
at
that
this
so
SEO at work, right?
and it's something that we cuss about. Me and Shani cuss about, because she kept writing OGS in our contracts, and I was
I
like, stop
know.
writing OGS in our contracts.
But
I
then
love
sorry,
that.
all I see are letters. So one grade student, I see OGS, but I've changed now. Not one GS, you know.